Please start with our summary slide answering the question, what did we learn in our previous lesson? Our learning target says I can multiply polynomials. And our essential question says, how do you multiply binomials? Remember, binomials have two terms in them. So I'm going to teach you two different methods here for multiplying binomials, and you can choose whichever one you like better to use. So because binomials have two terms, if you multiply two terms times another two terms, you're going to get four terms, okay? So the FOIL method is like using the distributive property twice. So notice what I'm doing is I'm starting in this example, I'm starting with the letter X, the first one that you see in the first binomial, and I'm distributing it times the X and then times the -2 in the other binomial. Then I'm moving on, and I'm doing the same thing with the +5. I'm distributing it times the X and times the -2 in the second binomial. So this is called FOIL. You have the first product, the first one in each, times the outer, which would be like the first thing you see and the last thing you see, and then plus the inner product, the 5 and the X are on the inside, and then the last product, the last one in each of your binomials. So really it's every combination of those terms. And when you FOIL or when you distribute, you're multiplying. So it's multiplying X times X, which is X squared, X times -2, which is -2X. 5 times X is 5X, and 5 times -2 is -10. So I color-coded these for you to show you what's being multiplied for the first, outer, inner, and last. But really it's like double distributive property. The second method is called the box method. It's where you take your binomials and you split the terms. So you see on the top I put X and then +5 on the top, and then on the side I have the X and the -2. So it's separating those binomials into the two monomials that they're made up of. Then the box is like finding the area of a square. So you're multiplying for that piece, its length and width. So X times X for the top left, X times X is X squared. So it's like you go like this, like X times X is X squared. Then for the next one, you would do like X times -2, and that gives you -2X. Like that. And then you take the X times the -5, and where they'd intersect would be right here, 5X. And then the last box is with the 5 and the -2, they'd intersect over here at -10. So it's finding all four products again, it's just organizing them a little differently. And then you still have to make sure to combine the like terms to get your final answer. So on each of them, you have to combine those like terms. -2X plus 5X is 3X. So you find your four products. You find all four of your products. And then two of them will have like terms, and you'll combine those to get your final answer. All right. So then you multiplied polynomials by monomials. Now we're going to multiply binomials using the FOIL method, or multiply polynomials using the distributive property. And in addition, I showed you the box method. Bodyboards, which are used to ride waves, are made of foam and are more rectangular than surfboards. A bodyboard's dimensions are determined by the height and skill level of the user. The length of Anne's bodyboard should be Anne's height minus 32 inches, or h minus 32. The board's width should be half of Anne's height plus 11 inches, or 1/2 h plus 11. To approximate the area of the bodyboard, you need to find h minus 32, that quantity, times 1/2 h plus 11, because it would be the length times the width to find the area of the body board. And that would be like if you were constructing it, how much material you would have to use. All right, let's find each product. So for the first one, I'm going to choose to use the FOIL method. Remember, you can use whatever method you want. So FOIL, my first product, is x times x. And then my second one is x times -4. Then I'm going to switch colors to go down to the bottom. 8 times x, and then 8 times -4. Okay, now all of these need to be added together. X times x is x squared, plus x times -4 is -4x, plus 8 times x is 8x, plus 8 times -4 is -32. And then we want to clean it up. Clean it up. So these are my like terms. So I'll have x squared, -4 plus 8 is +4, and then -32. So this is my final answer, all cleaned up. Because you never want two signs in a row. So like where I had the plus and then the negative after it, I don't want to keep that on that 32. Okay, for the next one, I'm going to use the box method just to give you some variety. So my box, 2x plus 1. Remember, split, and then x plus 6. And I'm just keeping those signs. I'm keeping those signs on the 6 and on the 1, just because I think it's good to look at them as signed numbers here. Okay, 2x times x is 2x squared. So I'm starting here with the x, and I multiplied it by the 2x. Now I'm going to multiply it by the 1. X times 1 is just 1x. Then I'm going to move to the 6, and now I'm going to multiply the 6. Whoops. The 6 times the 2x. 6 times 2x is 12x. And then 6 times 1 is 6. Now I have to remember to put together my like terms. So remember, these are the like terms. So my final answer should be 2x squared plus 13x plus 6. So whether you use FOIL or the box method, you should end up with the same 4 products and combining like terms, the same final answer. All right, next one, same thing. You can use FOIL or the box method. I'm going to go back to FOIL. So 5x times 2x is 10x squared. 5x times -8 is -40x. -4 times 2x is -8x, and -4 times -8 is +32. So you don't have to write out all of the steps. If you can multiply like that, just draw your little arcs to distribute and multiply, you're fine. Now combining these two like terms, because they're both negatives, -40 minus 8, or -40 plus -8, is -48. So this is my final answer. The most common mistake to make is to forget the exponent on that first term. If that happens, you will see 3 things that you think are like terms. That is not typically going to be the case, okay? So just be careful. Be careful. All right, Jen's building a garden in the corner of her yard. Write an expression for the area of her garden. The area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So the base is 6x plus 4. The height is x minus 7. And then we have to divide it by 2. So we actually need to FOIL this. So 6x times x is 6x squared. 6x times -7 is -42x. 4 times x is 4x. And then 4 times -7 is -28. And the whole thing is divided by 2, which is pretty good because they're all even numbers. So I can divide them all by 2 like this, and then combine my like terms. Negative 21 plus 2 is negative 19. So that would be the area of her garden. And it's units squared, but we don't have a label of inches, feet, centimeters, so we're not going to worry about it. All right, our last one. Anna is building a deck around her 15 by 20 foot pool. If the deck is X feet away from every side, write an expression for the total area of the deck and the pool. So the area of a rectangle is length times width. So here's the deal. We need to know what this length is and then what this width is. So if the pool is 15 by 20 and the deck is X in every direction, so this is X and this is X, look at what happens. If we have X and then 20 for the pool and then X, this is really X plus 20 plus another X. So the length is 2X plus 20. Then the width, the same thing happens for the width. If I switch my color here, so for the width this way, we've got our X, then we've got this side, which is 15, and another X. So X plus 15 plus another X. So that's going to be 2X plus 15. So you have to remember that the deck is on each side. So it's not just 15 plus 1X. The deck is on both sides of the width and both sides of the length. So now we can solve this, and you can do the box or you can do FOIL. I'll do the box in case you like the box method better. So we have 2X plus 20 and 2X plus 15. So 2X times 2X is 4X squared. And I'm just working with this first, so I'm multiplying by each of these. Now 2X times 20 is 40X. And then for the bottom row, I have to switch to the 15 and multiply by the 2X. 15 times 2X is 30X. And then switch to the 15 times 20. So that would be, let's see, 300. Okay, now make sure that you are adding together your like terms here. So these are my like terms. So my final answer should be 4X squared plus 70X plus 300. And because this one said feet, I can say feet squared for my area for the label. So find the area of the pool plus the deck. So that's not just the area of the pool, but the big rectangle surrounding it. So make sure you're adding the deck on both sides of the length. So X plus another X is 2X plus 20. And then adding it on both sides of your width, X plus the 15, 2X plus 15. And then just FOIL it or use the box method to find the area.